What you do tonight before you go to bed could quietly increase your risk of a heart attack after 50. Don't scroll away. I want you to do something simple. Place your hand on your chest. Feel that rhythm. That steady beat has worked for you every second of your life. It has never asked for a break. It has never taken a vacation. It has never complained. But between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., your heart enters one of the most vulnerable windows of the day. And after 50, the margin for error becomes smaller than most people realize. I've stood in operating rooms at 2 a.m. I've seen patients who felt fine before bed, families who said he just went to sleep. What changed wasn't the night. It was what happened before the night began. The information is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Consult your physician for personalized medical guidance. What science shows about your heart at night? Why the most dangerous changes happen before you sleep? Most people believe sleep is when the body repairs itself. And in many ways, that's true. But your heart does not switch off at night. Some of the most dangerous shifts in blood pressure, hormones, and clotting activity happen while you're unconscious. Quietly, without warning. It begins before sleep ever starts. To understand why, we need to look at what your heart actually does during sleep. The American Heart Association explains that healthy sleep includes something called nocturnal dipping, a natural 10 to 20% drop in blood pressure. This dip reduces strain on arterial walls and allows recovery. But that calm phase does not last. Research supported by the National Institutes of Health shows that during REM sleep, the nervous system becomes more unstable. Heart rhythm fluctuates. Blood pressure can spike suddenly. Breathing grows irregular. And you never feel any of it. These cycles repeat every 90 minutes and grow longer toward morning. Then comes the most critical shift. Between 4 and 6 a.m., cortisol rises. Blood pressure increases. Heart rate accelerates. The CDC reports that heart attacks and strokes cluster most frequently between 6 and 10 a.m. Not randomly. Biologically, overnight, mild dehydration slightly thickens the blood. Clotting activity increases as cortisol rises. Now combine rising pressure, more active clotting, arteries less elastic after 50, and you create a predictable vulnerability window. What determines how stable that window becomes often starts in the final hour before sleep. Habit 7. Sleeping with your phone within reach. This habit feels harmless. Your phone on the nightstand. But after 50, this small choice can interfere with one of your heart's most protective nighttime systems. It's not about radiation. It's about melatonin. Melatonin is more than a sleep hormone. It stabilizes nighttime blood pressure. It reduces cortisol. It protects the lining of your arteries. And it is highly sensitive to blue light. Even 30 to 60 minutes of screen exposure before bed can significantly suppress melatonin during the first half of sleep. You may fall asleep, but your cardiovascular protection is reduced. There is a second mechanism. Microarousals, a notification light, a vibration, even subconscious alertness. Each triggers a small cortisol surge, a brief rise in blood pressure. One spike is insignificant. Repeated all night, it becomes cumulative strain. After 50, arteries are less elastic. Clotting tendency is slightly higher. The margin for fluctuation is smaller. The solution is simple. The phone leaves the bedroom. Your heart needs stability at night, not stimulation. Be honest, is your phone on your nightstand right now? Comment out if you're moving it tonight. Habit 6. Sleeping in a room that's too warm. Warm feels comforting. But comfort and cardiovascular protection are not always the same thing. Your body is designed to cool down during sleep. As core temperature drops, heart rate slows, blood pressure decreases, metabolic demand eases. This cooling phase allows recovery. When the bedroom is too warm, that process is disrupted. Instead of settling, the body works to release heat. Blood vessels dilate. Heart rate stays elevated. You sweat even if you don't notice it. Overnight fluid loss reduces blood volume. Clotting proteins become more concentrated. Blood becomes more viscous. Now combine that with the early morning cortisol surge. Rising pressure. Increased clotting activity. Arteries less elastic after 50. The cardiovascular load becomes cumulative. Research links warmer sleep environments to higher nighttime blood pressure and reduced deep sleep. The temperature range most associated with cardiovascular stability is between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 15-19 degrees Celsius. Cooler does not mean uncomfortable. It means physiologically aligned. Your heart rests better in cool air. Habit 5. Going to bed dehydrated. This one rarely feels urgent. You're not thirsty. You feel fine. So you go to bed. But after 50, thirst is no longer a reliable signal. Many adults fall asleep mildly dehydrated without realizing it. When plasma volume decreases, the liquid portion of your blood shrinks. What remains becomes more concentrated red blood cells and clotting proteins. Thicker blood moves less easily through arteries that are already less elastic with age. Resistance increases. Pressure rises. The heart works harder to circulate the same volume. Now, place that into the early morning window. Cortisol surges. Blood pressure climbs. Clotting activity increases. Combine thicker blood with rising pressure. And you create a predictable cardiovascular strain pattern. Not from one dramatic event, but from repeated load, night after night. The correction is simple. Hydrate consistently during the day. Avoid going to bed already depleted. But don't drink so late that sleep is disrupted. Your heart depends on fluid balance more than you realize. Habit 4. Eating too close to bedtime. This one feels harmless. A snack before bed. Something sweet to help you sleep. But your body does not interpret food as comfort. It interprets it as metabolic activity. The moment you eat, digestion begins. Blood shifts toward the digestive system. Insulin rises. Metabolic demand increases. Now, your cardiovascular system is asked to support digestion while trying to enter its recovery phase. Those two processes compete. Instead of heart rate slowing, it stays elevated. Instead of blood pressure dipping, it remains higher longer. There's another layer. Late-night carbohydrates can trigger a delayed drop in blood sugar. When glucose falls, stress hormones rise. Cortisol increases. Adrenaline follows. You may not fully wake up, but your heart responds. Repeated, night after night, this creates cumulative strain, especially in arteries less elastic after 50. The correction is timing. Finish your final meal at least 2 to 3 hours before sleep. If late-night snacking is something you're working on, comment 1 below. I want to see how many of you are ready to change this tonight. Night is for recovery, not digestion. Habit 3, drinking alcohol in the evening. This one feels deserved. A drink to unwind. Something to help you fall asleep faster. And yes, it often works. But sedation is not restorative sleep. Alcohol suppresses REM sleep in the first half of the night, the stage that stabilizes cardiovascular regulation. As your liver metabolizes it, the nervous system rebounds. Heart rate rises. Blood pressure increases. Sympathetic activity becomes dominant. You may not fully wake up, but your cardiovascular system shifts into stress mode. Alcohol is also a diuretic. Fluid loss increases overnight. By early morning, plasma volume decreases. Blood becomes more concentrated. Now combine mild dehydration, rising cortisol at dawn, arteries less elastic after 50. The instability window widens. Even moderate evening alcohol reduces heart rate variability, a key marker of cardiovascular resilience. Lower variability means less adaptability. Less adaptability means less margin for error. The solution is timing and awareness. Avoid alcohol within several hours of bedtime. Falling asleep faster is not the same as protecting your heart. Habit 2, ignoring loud snoring or sleep apnea. Snoring is often dismissed as harmless, but persistent loud snoring is not a sound problem. It is an oxygen problem. In obstructive sleep apnea, the airway collapses repeatedly during the night. Breathing pauses. Oxygen levels fall. Your brain responds immediately. Stress hormones surge. Cortisol rises. blood pressure spikes. You may not remember waking, but your cardiovascular system does. This can happen dozens, even hundreds of times per night. Each episode becomes a miniature stress test for your heart. After 50, arteries are less elastic. The heart tolerates less repeated strain. Untreated sleep apnea significantly increases the risk of hypertension, atrial fibrillation, stroke, and heart attack. The most dangerous part? Many people live with it for years undiagnosed. If you snore loudly, gasp during sleep, wake with headaches, or feel persistent daytime fatigue, this is not a minor sleep issue. It is a cardiovascular warning sign. Treatment, including CPAP when appropriate, can dramatically reduce strain. Snoring is not the problem. Oxygen deprivation is. Habit 1. Going to bed with an active stress response. This is the most dangerous habit. Not because it is dramatic, but because it is invisible. Going to bed while your nervous system is still on alert? You may not feel anxious. You may not even call it stress. But if your mind is replaying the day, planning tomorrow, worrying about health or family, your body interprets it as threat. And the body does not recover in the presence of threat. Cortisol remains elevated. Adrenaline lingers. Blood vessels stay slightly constricted. Instead of dipping, blood pressure plateaus. Instead of slowing, heart rate resists full recovery. After 50, this matters more. Arteries are less forgiving. The heart tolerates less repeated strain. When stress carries into the night, the cardiovascular system never fully enters repair mode. Night after night, this becomes cumulative load, not one dramatic spike. But persistent pressure? Studies link chronic evening stress to hypertension, reduced heart rate variability, and increased cardiac events. The heart does not need perfection before sleep. It needs safety. The final hour of your day should signal that the threat has ended. Dim the lights. Slow your breathing. Step away from stimulation. Tell your nervous system clearly. The day is done, because if your brain believes the fight is still happening, your heart will keep fighting too. What you can change starting tonight. Let's bring this back to something simple. The goal is not fear. It is control. Your heart is not fragile, but it is responsive. It responds to what you repeat every night. Small adjustments done consistently reduce overnight strain more than most people realize. Starting tonight, remove electronic devices from the bedroom. Darkness protects melatonin. Keep the room cool, ideally between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 19 degrees Celsius. Cool air supports cardiovascular recovery. Hydrate consistently during the day. Do not go to bed already depleted. Finish your final meal at least 2 to 3 hours before sleep. Let digestion end before repair begins. Avoid alcohol close to bedtime. Sedation is not protection. Take loud snoring seriously. Oxygen matters. And most importantly, signal safety to your nervous system. Dim the lights. Slow your breathing. Step away from stimulation. The final hour before bed should feel predictable. Quiet. Safe. After 50, protection is no longer automatic. It becomes intentional. If you're committed to aging with strength, not fear, subscribe. We're just getting started. Your heart will work for you without complaint. The only question is whether you will give it the conditions it needs to recover.